So I've had this request for a while, but I never got around to making the video until now. I decided to combine a few requests into one video here, so let me tell you guys what's going on. People have asked me about how I come up with names for my dolls, how I remember all of their names, and some people wanted to know the backstories or the personalities of my doll characters. So we're just gonna combine all of that together here. And I'm gonna start off with my boys in my active collection, which are the male dolls that I usually have out on display. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are missing from this video, but that's because they don't get displayed much. I haven't truly bonded with those dolls, so they're just kind of floating in a box nude. As far as how I remember the names of my dolls, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't remember all of the names of my dolls. I always write them down in a book where I keep inventory of my dolls, and I also label my dolls with their names, so if I do forget, I can just look at the doll and it will say his name on the body. So we're just gonna start with the sea of boys who I decided I want to redress. No, I will not bore you to death making you watch me dress them all, but through the magic of editing, they will already be styled as I go over each dude to tell you who he is and a little about his personality. If you are new to this channel, my name is Gypsy. I have been collecting Barbie dolls since I was a child, and this is my corner of YouTube where I like to talk about dolls of all sorts with other grown-ups who enjoy this hobby as well. If you're into that, consider subscribing. We get into all types of dolly fun here, and you should be in the pretty people crew with the rest of us. Now that we've got all the dudes here redressed, I can tell you a little more about each one. I tried to keep a theme with the clothing options by keeping the color scheme fairly neutral, except where pops of color was necessary. I also tried to dress each guy to reflect his own personal style and his personality type, but some of them are just like generic outfits that I thought looked decent on the doll. So we're not going to talk too much about the clothing themselves, but I do want to go over each of my characters and let you know more about the personalities. If you have any questions about any pieces that you see that you're curious about, just tell me the doll's name that is wearing the outfit and which piece you're curious about in the comments, and I'll try to answer that for you later on. Here we go. First we have Bashan, and Bashan is actually named after one of my real life friends, Bashan, and he was like my ex-boyfriend from middle school. Yeah, unfortunately he died very young, in his like early 20s. He got murdered, and it never really sat right with me. So I was looking at this doll and I thought, oh my gosh, he looks a lot like Bashan, and I ended up naming him after Bashan to just kind of keep his memory alive in my doll collection. Me and Bashan used to do music together sometimes, so I decided to kind of superimpose those parts of his personality into this doll character. So this doll is like an aspiring rapper. He's from a very run-down ghetto neighborhood, so he's basically a struggling artist, and he has dreams of trying to get his family out of the hood. His mom was a single mom. She raised him and like 5 other siblings of his. He's the oldest. He just hates seeing his mom struggling so much. So he tells himself, if I can make it big as a rapper, then all her problems will just disappear. He's really caring. He's kind of quiet, but the great thing about Bashan is that he's extremely funny. Like, he's really good at cracking jokes and just making everybody around him laugh. And laughter and humor is kind of his coping mechanism. So he's a talented entertainer who hopefully will reach his goals of trying to get his family out of the hood. The next character I have here is Java, who is actually named after my son, Genu, whose middle name is Javanthony, so we call him Java sometimes. And this was a character that I created for like a series that I wanted to do, but I never got around to really like starting the show. I just had a lot of ideas that I couldn't execute at the time. Java here, he's actually on an Integrity Toys body in the FR black skin tone. So if you guys are interested in any dolls of yours with a similar skin tone that you need bodies for, but there's no made to move or articulated body options right now from Mattel with this skin tone, I highly suggest that you check out those IT bodies that you can buy directly from Integrity for about $40 at the time of me making this video. Java is an artist. He was raised by his divorced father, and both of his parents are like showbiz people. His dad used to be a musician and his mom is an active actress, so she's kind of never home, which is why the dad is raising him and his older sister. Even though Java is an artist, he also has an interest in making music like his dad, except he kind of sucks at it. So he hasn't really reached the realization that like mumble rap is not going to get you anywhere far as a musician. So he's pursuing that, but like, you know, he probably should just stick to his art. The next dude here is Tiago, who I kind of made him like half Filipino, half Brazilian. He loves to make music. He's a very festive person. Like he loves celebrating all kinds of holidays, and he can't wait to like have an excuse to create a feast for someone. He's really giving. He's a very charitable person, but he's a loner. So he likes to kind of move by himself, while at the same time, he loves being in like celebratory situations with people. That's the only time he really likes being around a lot of other people, but most of the time he just kind of sticks to himself. The next guy we have here is Quake. He is a bouncer, like that's his job, and he is really serious. He's kind of like, he has a bad sense of humor. Like he doesn't know that when people are being sarcastic or like ironic that it's meant to be funny, so he doesn't really get the joke. But he's a work addict. He loves bouncing. He just loves his job so much. And any chance he gets to like play security guard, he can't wait to do it. I think he likes the authority, and he's also a gym rat. He loves to work out. Next we have Amadeus Cass, and Amadeus is actually named after one of my old teachers, Mr. Cass, from middle school when I went to this performing arts school in Brooklyn. Like my teacher, this character is a piano player, but he's a self-taught pianist. Like he comes off like a real tough guy, but he actually has very refined tastes, and he loves classical music. So when people meet him, he kind of like shatters their expectations or stereotypes of him, just because the way he looks and the way he is kind of doesn't match. But as many of you guys already know, Amadeus is originally a Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean character, Jack Sparrow. He is absolutely one of my Grail dolls that I'm really happy to have in my collection. I did twist all his hair up like this. He didn't come like this. I like the way it looks, so I think I'm just gonna keep him like this for a while. Next guy we have here is Adonis, who is actually an Integrity Toys doll. He's not a Barbie. He is a very classy person. I named him after my husband, but like I didn't want his personality to be like my husband's. I gave him some aspects of my husband's personality, like the fact that he hates being in the hood. He's very proper, and he's got expensive taste, and those are all like aspects of my husband's real personality. So Adonis, the name is my husband's name, but those are the traits that I gave him after my husband. But the rest of his traits are just this character's trait, in that he's extremely quiet, he doesn't like to talk much, and he's a very observant, cautious person. Like he really has to think things through before he goes through with doing something. So we have Jonas next, and Jonas is actually one of my dolls that I turned into a sim character. He is very mild-mannered. He's real funny. He's a goofy guy. He's like really playful, and he's one of those people that's like attractive to other people, but he's oblivious of how attractive he is to people. Also, he's a rich boy. Like his parents were rich, and he kind of grew up getting whatever he wanted. He never really had to work for anything, so he doesn't have much experience in the work world, but he has access to a lot of things that most people cannot afford. Fortunately, because he's so friendly and happy to please, all of his friends basically just get the perks of hanging out with this rich boy because he pays for everything when he's with them. Next we have Duro, and this guy is absolutely a gym rat. He's like a health nut too. He only drinks water. You cannot convince him to take a sip of some soda or anything sugary. He thinks exercising is like something fun to do in your free time. Like he's really obsessed with going to the gym, and also he's really impatient. Like he needs results fast, so if you can't give him an answer right away, he doesn't even want to be bothered. Next we have Nadim. He's also an Integrity Toys doll. His character is really sarcastic. He's very well traveled. You know, he's kind of a smartass, but he doesn't mean it in like a malicious way. He's just a very sarcastic person, so he's always got something snide to say, you know. He's very educated, and he's a part-time model, only part-time, because he doesn't really like to work super hard. I mean, he's beautiful, so he kind of doesn't need to. Like, he's always got, like, women trying to take care of him just to keep him around. But nonetheless, he does do some modeling work because, you know, he's an independent man that don't need no woman. So he's got to prove himself, at least in that department. Our next character is Alto, who I actually named after the horse of one of my dolly friends, Alex. And shout out to Alex over in Washington. Alto is an equestrian and he likes the countryside, but he's kind of stuck in the city right now for his work. So he's a little bit of a loner, not because he doesn't want to make friends, but just because the environment that he's in, he's like really homesick and he doesn't want to get close to people in the city because his mindset is that once he gets done saving up the money that he wants to make working in the city, he's planning to move back to the countryside and kind of like buy his own little property and have a ranch so he can have his horses there. Right now, his horses are kept by his parents on their property, but it's a very small property and he wants to get more horses. There's not enough room there for him and all these horses that he wants to get. So he's got a plan in his mind of what he's trying to do, and he's just trying to kind of like survive in the city for a little while until he can go off and do that. Next, we've got the famous V, Vraiman Pratapi, who is actually more shaped after my husband's real personality. So he's super witty, he's outgoing, he's really charming, he's kind of a player type of a guy, and he's a little shallow, you know, he's a little bit like full of himself, I guess. V's character is a writer for a comedy show, which is actually my skit series that I had over here on this channel called Broken Barbie Show, but his character is supposed to be like a writer on the show, so it kind of works to his advantage that he's kind of a witty, funny dude because he's always coming up with great skits that end up in the show. But just in his personal life, he's kind of just one of those people that's like nothing impresses him, you know what I mean? Anyway, we decided to make his character kind of like that because I wanted, for when my husband did the voice for his character, I wanted him to just talk like how he normally talked and not put on a voice in order to do this character. So I kept his personality very like parallel to the way my actual husband's personality is in real life. My husband has a lot of different sides to him, so you know, I can extract different traits of his and superimpose them onto multiple characters, and I can still get a full character personality out of all these different traits. Our next guy is Dakota. He's the kind of person who's a little bit suspicious of everything going on around him. Like, he's very untrusting of people. He's very easily irritated as well, but shockingly, he's a teacher and he's really good with kids. Because he's so irritable, he can't work around small children. He can only work around like older kids, like teenagers in a high school setting, because he needs to be able to tell you verbally like why you're getting on his nerves so you can get out his face and not scare the kid or like hurt their feelings because they don't really understand why you're upset. You know what I'm saying? And you can do that easier with older kids than you can with younger kids, even though he'll tell the kids that are bothering him like, you know, you're irritating me, this is like stupid what you're talking about right now, it's so dumb and I wish you would change the subject. But like the kids still like him. They think that he's like you know, like your like smart aleck uncle or something like that just like straight shoots. I don't know how to explain it, but he's more popular with his students than you would think for somebody who gets very easily irritated with them and kind of like tells them off a lot. Anyways, he's a good teacher. All right, so those are all the guys up here on this top row. Then we're gonna move down to the second row where we're gonna start off with Daddy. Daddy is a character also from my Broken Barbie Show series that I had, and this character was actually created by my husband. He's like our super flamboyantly gay character where like every stereotypical thing you would like attach to a gay guy, like he is that, and he's proud of it. He doesn't feel like, you know, he's misrepresenting, because this is really how he is. He's super loud, he's very flashy, he's very confident, almost bordering like teeter-tottering on arrogance. Surprisingly, he's a single dad. How did he become a single dad? That's a whole nother story of itself. I don't know if we should get into it here because it's a lot of layers going on, and you know, he was kind of a victim of someone that kind of ended with him being a single father, but that's a story for another day. I don't want to get too long-winded with Daddy. But he's one of my favorite characters because when I dress him, I get to be completely out of my usual comfort zone with dressing male dolls. And I kind of can't go wrong experimenting with feminine and masculine styles with him, kind of merging the two. So I love being able to like accessorize with Daddy's character in that way. The original Daddy that we had actually was a completely different head sculpt than the one that's on this doll, but I ended up swapping the character out for this doll because of the long hair, and I thought it would be more suitable for Daddy's character, being able to style his hair, because that's totally something that Daddy would do. That's why this doll actually looks different than the doll in my series that we used as Daddy's character before. I don't even know what happened to that doll. Like, I don't know where he is anymore. What the heck? Anyways, I've moved a couple of times since we filmed that, so maybe he just got lost. The next character I have here is another Integrity Toys dude, and his name is Chunjin. Chunjin is a Korean name, but it's not a real name. I think Chunjin is like a word in Korean that is the name of one of my favorite singers in this K-pop group. Is it a K-pop group? I don't know. It's like a Korean like rap group. Well, Chunjin was my favorite of all the guys that were in that group, so I basically gave him the name from that guy, but that's his stage name. It's not a real name. So this Chunjin, my doll, he is very charming. He's also very studious, and he's the kind of person who like exaggerates a lot. Like if you ask him what he does for work, he's gonna tell you he works in film, but that's as far as he's gonna go with the details. He never tells anyone exactly what he does in film, so for all we know, he might just be like a janitor that works at a film studio. We don't know, but whatever it is that he does, it must make him enough money to be able to spend lavishly, because he's kind of bad with money. Like he's always spending money on things that seem like they cost a lot of money, but how does he afford it? We don't know. So hopefully whatever it is that he does in film, that he doesn't want to tell anybody what it is actually. Hopefully it's something that pays him good money, you know? Next guy we've got here is Mr. Valdiani, and Valdiani is a prestigious plastic surgeon. Yes, he's a doctor. He's the guy that all of my dollies go to when they need a little touch up, you know, a little head swap, a little limb swap, a little face up or two, you know. He's really confident. He's very book smart, but he's a little socially awkward. Like he doesn't really know when it's appropriate to say certain things to people. He talks really fast, so sometimes people miss what he's saying to them. But if you like slow it down and really listen, he's kind of like being really blunt with you about some of your flaws. And as a doctor, I think he feels like I just might as well just tell you the truth. Just tell you straight up, if you keep eating too much cake, like you're gonna get diabetes. He won't beat around the bush, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyways, he's always very busy, so he never really has time for anybody. That's why he talks so fast, because he's just like, I need to get to the point. Let's just go. I got another appointment that I need to be at. He just doesn't have time for you. We're gonna move on to the next guy, who is Rafa. I think I named him after one of my old friends, Rafael, that we used to call Rafa, but his personality is nothing like the real Rafa, my friend. This Rafa is sweet. He's really romantic. He's a church boy. He loves singing, so he like can't wait to be at church because he likes singing on the praise and worship team and the choir. Also, he's like the voice of reason. He's the guy in the group who's always trying to talk everybody out of doing like something bad or illegal or morally wrong, you know? So in some ways, it's good to have a guy like this around, because, you know, they're the friend that's like, come on guys, let's get home on time and meet curfew so we don't get in trouble with our parents. He's that dude, like the reminder guy who's like, guys, no drinking and driving. Okay, give me the keys. Like he's the designated driver dude. But at the same time, he can be a little bit annoying, because it's like, you know, I really want to cheat on this test, but here comes Rafa saying, I don't think that's a good idea. What if you get caught? And you're just like, oh my gosh, Rafa, shut up, leave me alone. You know, he runs into problems sometimes with his trying to talk everybody out of doing bad things personality type he's got. Anyways, we've got Bentley next. Bentley is actually named after my little baby Bentley that I actually miscarried last year, so I ended up having to go through a C-section and he was stillborn. I still haven't made my video telling you guys about that experience, which I promised you guys that I would do. This month will be a year from when I went through that, so in memory of him, I will probably end up making that video sometime this month. For my doll Bentley here, his personality personality is that he's a very logical person. He is also kind of silly and goofy, you know. He likes to play the guitar. He's a real outdoorsy kind of person. He likes going to the beach. He loves water. He likes camping and hiking and doing all that like physical activities out in the open type of guy. And that's why he's so tan. Guitar is my next Ken here, who is a hybrid doll. He's originally a Jacob Black character who I customized. So I gave him some custom details on his face and also rooted new hair into his head. So you probably don't recognize him as Jacob Black, but that's who he is. This character is a Black Samoan, which we ran into a lot of over in Washington State. There's so many Samoan people there from Hawaii, and also some people that like are mixed Black and Samoan. So I decided I wanted to kind of pay tribute to those people that we left behind in Washington by making a character that reminds me of them. Though he looks like a tough guy, he's kind of chill. He's very like sweet person, and he's the kind of person who's never in a rush. He's always like no worries. That's his like motto in his mind. So he's a real laid back kind of a dude. Next we have Atlas here, who's also one of my Grail Ken dolls. Amadeus, who I showed you guys earlier, the Jack Sparrow doll, he and Atlas are actually best friends. They've known each other since childhood. Atlas here, he's kind of a serious person. He really respects intelligence in people, and he's a deep thinker. And he's the kind of dude who has no tolerance for like silly women, like women who don't know what they want. They're really wishy-washy. They don't have like a point to make, but they just keep on talking. Like he can't stand girls like that. So he gets really snippy when he's around people like that, and he doesn't like people who just want like attention for the sake of having attention. He wants you to have a reason why we should be giving you attention. So he gets easily irritated around women who are very pretty and just like, you know, those girls who think they're like Insta baddies and TikTok baddies. He just can't stand people like that. Next guy we have here is Sawyer. He is also a hybrid doll. His head was from a Fashionistas doll, and his body, I think this body is, what kind of body is this? It's like a buff Ken's body of some sort from maybe one of the Barbie looks guys. I don't really remember. But anyways, Sawyer is a gym rat. He is a bodybuilder, and he's kind of quiet. He loves to travel. He's ex-military, and he's a real go-getter. I actually fashioned Sawyer's personality based on one of my real cousins on my Korean side, who is exactly like this. And has this exact backstory. So he's basically my cousin in doll form. Next we have Sebastian here, who is a professional rapper, not an amateur. He actually gets paid to do what he does, and he's a real laid back kind of a guy. He's a homebody. He's a little messy because he's lazy, you know. Ironically, he's also a party animal, which kind of fits the vibe of being a rapper, because he loves going to like concerts and places where there's a lot of people and he can be the center of attention. But outside of that, like outside of stage performance and kind of like being surrounded by people admiring him, he doesn't really want to be bothered with other people. He loves just being at home. Like he doesn't want to be outside unless it's for a party. Yeah, he's a homebody who's also a party animal. Go figure. And his hair is a bit of a mess. Like I never know what to do with this doll's hair, so I just kind of leave it alone. But we can cover it up with a hat for now, so we'll just pretend we don't have that issue. Anyways, next we have Douglas here, who is named after my real father, Douglas. Some of my dad's traits that I superimpose on Douglas is that he's very athletic. He is a funny guy, you know, real like just a funny dude. He's full of grand ideas, you know? One day he's gonna do this, one day he's gonna do that. It's gonna be amazing. Like he's just full of all these huge ideas. Does he execute them all? I don't know. We'll never know, because in my real dad's case, he died when he was 36, so he never got to accomplish all the things that he had dreams about. So I'm leaving it up to interpretation for my doll Douglas, who hopefully lives past the age of 36 to actually accomplish all the things that he wants to do. But the part that is not like my dad is that he's an ex-football jock. So, you know, back in the day when he was in school, he was really into football. He's also a natural mentor. A lot of people look up to him and they come and ask him for advice. And he is always in a rush. Like he can't get to the task he's trying to do fast enough. So everyone's always telling Douglas to slow down, right? And also, like my dad, Douglas is multilingual. He loves different cultures and like getting to know people from different cultures. So he's taught himself a bunch of different languages, which is great for communication with people from all over the world. And I can't just talk about Douglas without mentioning his tattoos. This particular Ken doll, he's really hard to find an articulated body for because there really are none by Mattel that matches his skin tone. I was able to kind of cross him with a Fresh Squad doll, so it worked out. It's not an exact match, but it's good enough. And so I ended up painting on some tattoos for him. They don't really have any significance, the tattoos. I just got bored and wanted to draw on a doll, so that's how he ended up with the tattoos, but whatevs. Now we have Simba, who's also a custom doll, but he's on his original body. This used to be a BMR Ken with green hair. I got rid of all of his flocking on his hair, and now he's bald. And I originally was gonna give him hair, like draw on hair, to replace the flocked hair that I got rid of, or flock more hair on in a different color, but I changed my mind because I really liked how he looked bald. And I also touched up his face because it actually came with makeup on, but I got rid of all of that and like changed his look. Simba is supposed to be part Arab and part Hispanic. He is a very skeptical person. Like, he never believes you. If you tell him something, you gotta prove what you're saying is true, because he's not gonna just believe you when you say the earth is flat. He's also kind of eccentric when it comes to especially his fashions. Also, just his general taste is a little eccentric. You know, he's the guy that will like try the experimental thing on the menu, just take a risk that he might end up hating it, but usually he likes it. So he's also the kind of person who's very deliberate. He likes to plan everything out before he does something. Like, he's not the kind of dude that wants to be spontaneous, except for when he's trying new foods on a menu. Do you know what I'm saying? And also, he is very friendly. He loves to meet new people. Sterling is our next character here, who we recently saw in one of my videos as I was showing you guys my Doctor Who doll, which if you haven't, go watch that video. Sterling is very religious. He is a widower and he's a stepdad to adult children. He never had any kids of his own. He's a very like romantic person, so even though he lost his wife, he kind of isn't looking for a new person because he's just so in love with his wife that he feels like nobody else could replace her, you know? And the relationship that he had with her was just really, really romantic. He's a very kind person, but the only thing about him is that he talks really slow. You know, people from the South, they tend to talk a little slower than us people from the North. And sometimes when Northerners are around Southerners, they have this feeling of impatience where they're like, can you hurry up and finish your sentence, please? Like, can you say what you're trying to say? Like, you really want to like finish their sentences for them.
He worked in the field a while, but he played music in slavery time. Had him and old man Milton Braces for the fiddle player.
I don't think Southerners really understand how frustrating that is for a lot of Northern people. Unfortunately, Sterling here has that exact problem. He loves talking religion with you, but like, I understand you're trying to tell me praise Jesus, but like, can you say it faster? You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on with Sterling here, poor guy. You know, maybe it's for the best that he's not looking for a new love interest, because that woman would have to put up with how slow he talks and she might just get really, really irritated. So we're gonna move on now to Ricardo, who is actually in law enforcement. I haven't quite decided exactly what he does. Like, is he a police officer? Is he the chief of the police? Is he a detective? Is he a lawyer? I don't really exactly know what I want him to be as far as the specific job title, but I know that he seems like someone who works in the law field of some sort. He's very serious person, and he's also really detail oriented. Like, he's really good at like memorizing people's descriptions, the way they look, the way they sound, their voices. He's good at like memorizing license plate numbers, things most people never pay attention to. He pays a lot of attention to that kind of stuff. So he's a little intimidating when people are around him. Also, it doesn't help that he's got a very curt personality. Like, if you ask him a question, he's not going to be all long-winded and talk to you a whole bunch to answer you like how I would. He is just like 2 words, that's enough. Just get to the point, whatever. What do you want, you know? The next guy we have here is Legend, and he is also one of my Grail Ken dolls. He's a convention doll, and I paid so much for this set. Oh my goodness. This doll, though he does have a basics Ken face mold like a couple of other Kens I have in my collection, he actually has this unique hairstyle. It's like flocked, but also the sides are painted on to look like a faded haircut, and he's got like a little slit on the side of his head here. He also has eyeliner and eyelashes on the eyes, which is really unusual. I don't think I have any other Kens like this. So the intensity of like the way his eyes look, to me, gives him a real Tyson Beckford type of a vibe. Legend here is supposed to be an actual professional model. He gets a lot of attention from people, obviously, because he's very beautiful. He's very well traveled. He's a good conversationalist. He likes giving gifts to people, like as a surprise. Like, it's not a special occasion. It's not your birthday. It's not a holiday, but he was just thinking of you. He loves to see that like face of like, oh my gosh, this is for me. He loves seeing people light up like that when he gives them presents. He also enjoys being in the spotlight a lot. He fears getting fat. That's like literally a phobia of his. And he's a little asthmatic. He needs to carry around like a, what do you call those things? An inhaler. So he can't do anything athletic really for fear of getting an asthma attack. But it is what it is. You got to take the good with the bad. Now, I know you think that I forgot about him, but no, I did not. I did not add him to this wall display here because he's too good for the wall. So other than my BMR Tate, who I call Jonas with the red hair, my other red-haired Barbie is a new addition to my collection, which is originally an Alan doll, but I've given him a new body and turned him into a character in my collection who I call Irving, and so I saved him for last. I want to say this character in my mind is kind of like the male version of Midge from Life in the Dream House. Remember that show? So the Life in the Dream House Midge, she's very like old-timey compared to her more modernized Barbie friends. She's just kind of like stuck in those days kind of, but she's living in the modern world. Like, that's kind of how I picture Irving being. He's like a really young at heart person, but to everyone around him, they think he's an old soul because his taste is really classic retro. Like, that's the kind of stuff that he's into, the way he dresses, the kind of food he likes to eat. He loves listening to like jazz music, you know, he swing dances. Like, who does that? In his mind, he's like very youthful, but to everyone around him, they're just, because we're living in a different age right now, so we're looking at you like you still have a rotary phone. Like, what's going on? That's very old-timey to everyone else, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's going on with Irving here, and he's so cute, so cute. Do I even need to say how cute he is? He's so adorable. He's actually wearing the fashions that came with Sterling, my Doctor Who doll. I just put an Integrity Toys jacket on over the outfit that he's got on, so that's what you're looking at here. That's it for all of my guy dolls that I wanted to talk about with you guys today. So I figured I would explain how I named some of my dolls so that you guys watching can get ideas on where to come up with some names. A lot of times they're based on people that I actually know in real life who I want to remember for whatever reason, or I'll just see like a cool name someplace and I'll actually write it down for future use. Then when I find a doll who I think would fit that name, I'll give it to them. I also come up with ideas for their personality or their backstory based on real people that I know, like my family members or friends from childhood and whatnot. Like, for example, my Doctor Who doll Sterling, his backstory about being a stepdad to adult children and being a widower and being really religious, and even the slow talking actually is in memory of my Uncle Tommy, who has this exact story. The reason why I decided to give him my Uncle Thomas's personality is because his mustache. My uncle had a mustache just like this and as soon as I saw it, I was like, this so reminds me of Uncle Tommy. And also the clothing that he came wearing, it's very like retro looking to me. I don't know why, it just looks very like 70s. I don't know if it's supposed to because I don't watch Doctor Who, but that's just the vibe it gave to me. And the 70s was when my uncle would have been, you know, I think he would have been a teenager around that time. time. My uncle's fashion sense too, and I would like see him, even though it's not the 70s anymore, he's still dressed like the people from that time kind of. So like this doll just kind of instantly made me think of my Uncle Tommy, so I gave him my uncle's personality traits and backstory. I really think fictional characters come to life when we use real life as a basis for those characters and then use our imagination to kind of fill in the rest of the storytelling. I'm also a big Sims 4 player, and I treat my Sims just like they're virtual dolls. So if you know anything about that game, you already know that the game is designed as a sandbox where you build characters with traits and then you propel their storylines from there. In my game, a lot of the Sims are actually my doll characters that I make into Sim characters, and I just play out their lives in my game. Since I don't physically play with any of my dolls, I just display them. But it's great for creative thinking and creative writing. So if you're into anything like that, you know, it'll get your juices kind of flowing. If you enjoyed watching this video, tell me about it in the comments. If you want to see me do another episode like this, but with my female dolls, I've got a legion of them, so I can't fit them all into one video, y'all. I would definitely need to do episodes in a series, but when I redress my dolls, I always do it like this in batches. Grooming dolls is really therapeutic for me. It soothes my anxieties and it helps me to relax. I like to watch other doll tubers while I do it, like my friends at Annie's Playhouse, Dollhouse Curator, or Adult Doll Collector, and a bunch of other folks y'all hear me talking about over here. My homies are linked in the info bar if you want to go visit them. Be sure to tell them that Gypsy says hello so they know that I'm stalking them. And while you're in the info bar, also check out my product links for dolls and related items that I recommend, like the floating acrylic shelves that my dolls are displayed on here in this video. The links are usually going to take you to trusted retailers like Target or Walmart, where most of us already shop. I do also have an affiliate link for Amazon, but I gotta figure out how that whole thing works so I can actually leave you guys some links for that as well. If you purchase anything using my links that you find here on my videos, I'll receive a tiny commission which helps support the channel without it costing you viewers anything extra. But thanks again for chilling with me, Gypsy, right here on Broken Dolly TV. And though I must let you go now because I'm talking too much, you can still go have a dolly day.